Coding made easy.
So what's up everybody, and welcome to your next C# Monogame tutorial. And in this tutorial we are actually going to get our map displayed onto the screen. So we're going to be adding in a bunch of code. Well, not too much, but we're just going to get our map from our game to display in our tile map editor, and that's all we're really going to do for this tutorial. And the next few tutorials we'll get some other stuff done. So let us get started. So we already have our editor class, and we already have our map and layer class and stuff from our earlier tutorials. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna create a new map and a new layer class. It's up to you if you guys want to do this, but we'll just do it for the fun of it. So we're just gonna create a new class, and we're gonna create a new map class, and we're gonna have a layer class. And you might think we need a tile class. We don't need a tile class. So let's just call this public layer, and we're gonna need a few namespaces. So we're gonna need the framework, content, and some graphics. Okay. And in the map class, we're gonna make this public. And we can just make we'll follow the way WinForms does stuff. So we'll make an initialize method, and we'll make a draw method. Now the initialize method is gonna have to take a content manager, and as you guys probably figured out, we need to include some namespaces. I don't think we need the framework. So we just need two things at the top right here. We just need a public list of layers, and we'll call it layer. And we need to include the XML serialization. Okay, so we included that namespace, and we need to include that because we have a list. So because we have a list, we have to specify how we're going to be reading it in. And last but not least, we're going to take a vector too, so we actually do need the basic framework. We're going to be making a public vector 2 called tile dimension. So this looks quite familiar, and what we're going to do is we're just going to loop through each layer, and I'm just going to call layer.initialize. And we're going to pass in the tile dimensions, and then we're going to have draw. Now, why don't we have any update or unload content or so on and so forth? Well, let's see. For starters, we don't need to update the tile. We just need to display the tile. The tile's not going to be doing any effects or anything. We just want to edit our tile. Now, remember I said this is going to be very simple. If you guys want to see your tile in action, then so be it. But this is just going to be a very basic tile map editor, and it's up to you guys to add whatever you want. I'm just basically showing you guys how to get started. And then you guys can do some stuff from there. Now what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to pause this video right now, and I did a quick tile map editor in about an hour, in like an hour or two, just to show you kind of like what we're going to be going. So here it is. This is just something I did on my own quite quickly, and our tile map editor is just gonna look something basic like this. So you could take, you can select a group of tiles or select a single tile. You can drag it, do certain things with it. You can switch your layer. So if you look at the bottom right here, you can change your layer, and you can add stuff on a second layer. So we're just gonna be adding in a 2-layer functionality right now. It's not gonna be anything spectacular, and I have it so you can save the map and so on and so forth. So it's not going to be anything spectacular, but we're just going to have something basic. So I just wanted to show you that so that you guys can get a gist of what we're going to be doing. So anyways, what we're going to do, just like our other layer class, we're going to call this tile map, and we're gonna want to include the system, the serialization namespace. So we're gonna say XML element, and we'll call it row, and we'll take in a public list of rows. Voila. So now we're just gonna have a public tile map, and I feel like switching it to tile layout, so we can switch our maps later on, but I'm gonna switch that to tile layout just because I feel it is a better naming scheme, but it's up to you, whichever one you like to name it. So I'm just going to be adding a private vector to, and I'm just going to call it tile dimensions, and we're going to make something, we're going to make a list, and it's going to be a 2-dimensional list, and it's going to just be our tile map, or whatever you like to call it. Now the reason why we're doing this is because even when we want to edit certain tiles, or change certain tiles, or undo certain tiles, or something like that, we need to have it in an array type format. So that's what our double list is going to be storing. And so we're just going to have our initialize method. So we have initialize, and we're going to be taking in a content manager, and we should be taking in, content manager and vector 2 tile dimensions. Okay, good enough. Sorry, I had to pause that for a quick moment. So we have our initialize, and we have to draw. So our initialize is going to look something like this. So we're going to have a string, we're going to call it split, and just like before, we're just going to call tile layout dot row, and sorry, we have to do a for each first. Sorry, I'm really tired. It's like 1:06 in the morning. So we'll just have a string row in tile layout dot row, and we'll say string split is equal to row dot split, and we're going to split it based on that. So if you guys want to, sorry about that. If you guys want to copy this from your mapped file, then that's fine. But we're going to be adding in a few differences. So we're going to split it like so. And when we split it, we're going to do another for each. And we're going to say, okay, string s and split. And so we're going to loop through them like so. So this is just like before. What we're going to do right here is we're going to make a temporary list. And in this tile map, it should be a vector 2, not a string. Sorry about that. So name is the vector. Let's name this temp tile map, and we'll set it to a new tile map. And we don't really care about which tiles are overlay tiles or so on, or underlay tiles or solid tiles. We don't care about that right now. All we really care about are which tiles are. We just care about which tiles are that we're actually displaying, right? When it comes to the game world and the player can actually collide with them, that's when it actually matters. And if I have time or I feel the need to, then I will add in the functionality to add solid tiles to our tile map editor. But I feel that is a fairly easy task to do, so I won't have to teach it. But if you guys want me to, then I can probably squeeze it in. But anyways, so we have a for each to loop through each one, through each element. And what we're going to do is we're just going to say, I guess we can do what we just did before. So we'll say value1 is equal to s.substring, and the substring is from 0 to s.index of. Oh, actually, we gotta do something first. We gotta make a string, and we have to say s.replace, and we gotta replace this. So once we replace that, then we're going to check till the index of the colon, and we're going to say value 2 is equal to string substring str index of colon plus 1. And hopefully, oh, and it should be int.parse. Okay, so now that we've gotten that done, we're going to take our temp tile map and we're going to be adding a new vector 2. We're just going to add in our value 1 and our value 2. So we've gotten that set up, and after this loop, we're just going to say tile map dot add temp tile map. So that's going to create our two-dimensional our two-dimensional map for us, but there's something else that we have to do. And well, we don't really, this is something we have to do. So if it contains an x or something, what are we gonna do? Because it stores vector 2s, so we're gonna change it from an x to a -1. Okay, so we're just gonna say that if so we're gonna say if not s contains x, then that's what you do. And we'll just say else, and what we'll do is we'll just put in value 1 well, there's an easier way to do this, but it doesn't matter. But we'll just say value 1 equals value 2 equals -1. And so it will add a value of -1 if it does have an x. Okay, so this is gonna add this to our tile map for us. Nothing really special. And what we're gonna do now, we didn't add in an image yet, so what we're gonna do is we're going to have to add in an image now. Now we don't have an image class yet, and we're gonna be implementing that in just a moment. So now let's pause here and let's create an image class. And the image class is going to be a dumbed down image class. We don't need a lot for a tile map editor. We just need to actually get an image. We don't need to add in text or anything to the image. We just need the sprite itself. So it's going to be really dumbed down. So we're going to just have, let's include the system.xml.serialization, and we'll have our 3 namespaces. Okay, so we'll have our private texture 2D. We'll call that texture. We need our, we'll say public source rect, and I guess we'll make a public float to alpha. You can add scale and all that stuff, but we don't really need all those different things to work. It's up to you whether you want to add in that functionality. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a constructor and just add in some default values. And we'll just say source rect equal to rectangle.md. And we also need a public string called path, and we're going to make a property, and we're just going to have a get method to return the texture. And since it's a public, we have to make a call to XML ignore, so it doesn't try to do anything with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say public void initialize. Going to take a content manager, and we'll create our own content manager as well. Speed is not really critical in this program, but we'll still create our own content manager just to make it more convenient. And you can add what you can do is you can add an unload content to unload it when you don't need it anymore, but Most likely that's going to happen either when you create a new map or when you're done with the program, so it will clean it up for you. But that's up to you. It's entirely by choice. And we'll have a draw. We'll have a draw method. Okay, so we have our initialize and we have a draw, and what we're gonna do is pretty simple. We're gonna say if string, if not string is null or empty, and we'll check the path. Then we'll say texture is equal to content.load texture, and we'll pass in the path. And we're gonna say if source rect not is equal to rectangle.empty, then we're gonna say source rect is equal to texture.bounce. So that's simple enough. And what we're gonna do is just make a, we're gonna say, whoa, texture 2D, sorry. Let me zoom this out a bit. And make sure we put this content, so it uses this content that we had. And I'm just checking how much time I have. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just call sprite batch, and we're going to draw, if I can spell, dot draw. We're gonna draw our texture, add our position, and we didn't specify position yet, so let's just make this public. So at our position, we have our source rect, and we have our color.white times alpha. So that's simple enough. We got our simple drawing method up, nothing too complex. And now we can go back to our layer class. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna loop through each one of the elements in our tile map. So we're gonna say tile map.count. And again, this is not the most optimized code or the most effective code, but it gets it done. And you can optimize it or do whatever you would like to it later on. There's a lot of things to consider when it comes to optimization. That's why I'm not trying to go too much into detail about that. Anyways, so we're gonna say that if tile map ij not equal to negative vector 2 1, then we're gonna do a few things. So we're gonna say image dot position is equal to new vector 2. Now this might confuse you. J times tile dimensions dot xi times tile dimension dot y. Now why did I do j instead of I for the first parameter? The I represents the columns and the j represents the number within that column. So what it's doing is it's saying, okay, the j is actually going to give us our x coordinate, and the I is actually going to give us our y coordinate. And it kind of might confuse you a bit, but if you really think about it, you can wrap your head around it. If you are confused, then leave me a comment and I'll try and explain it more in depth, or I'll give you a visual example in the next tutorial or the next couple tutorials. So anyways, we're going to specify our source rect, and sorry, and that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to say tile map ij, and these have to be integers, so we'll say int tile map ij dot x times tile map tile dimension, sorry, dot x. And then we're going to say int tile map ij dot y times tile dimensions dot y. Then we'll add in tile dimensions dot x and cast it to an int. And last but not least, we'll do tile dimensions dot y. And that will have our source rect, handle our source rect for us, and we'll say image.draw. So voila, that's gonna handle everything for us. If everything goes according to plan, it should draw it efficiently. So we've gotten that done, we got our image class done, and now we just have to add it into our editor. So we're just going to make an instance of map, and we're going to have a content manager and the sprite batch. So let's include these things. We also need the XML namespace. Okay, so we're gonna say content is equal to new content manager, and we need a service provider. So the graphics device control has something called services in there, which we can use for a service provider. And in quotes, we're gonna just put content. And then we're going to say sprite batch is equal to new sprite batch, and it provides a graphics device for us as well. Isn't that cool? So it has all this cool stuff in there for us already. So now we don't have our XML manager, and if you want to, you can put using YouTube RPG, and you can use your, or you can make a call to YouTube RPG XML manager if you want to. But if you made a new project, then we're just gonna call the serializer. It's gonna say new XML serializer, and we need a type. So what we're gonna do in our editor, we're going to just gonna create an editor, and we're gonna say map is equal to new map, and we'll just say map.getType. Then we're going to say map is equal to XML deserialize, and we need a stream, and we also need to cast it to map. So what we're going to do is just create a quick stream, but first we need to include the IO stream. Or yeah, so now we're going to say stream is equal to file.open, and we're going to put a link to our file. So we're just going to call map. We're going to let's just say that's our path, and we'll say file mode.open. And so we'll pass in our stream in here, and voila, it'll load the map. And then we'll call map.initialize, pass in the content manager, and down here we'll make a call sprite batch begin, sprite batch.end, and we'll make a call to map.draw. So simple enough. So now what we're gonna do to our side, now we're just gonna create a load folder, and we'll just call it load, and we're just gonna load a default map. And I don't have what we're gonna do, we're just gonna do existing item. I already have you can use the same map that we've been using for our game. So let me just get that, and you can select all files. I'm just gonna put that in there. Now also our content, we're gonna need our images as well. So let's just add in our content too. So let me just get that. And just drag this in here. Okay, so we got our content in here, and we have our tile sheets in there. So we have our our ground tile sheet, and it's the same tile sheet we've been using, same everything. Just to show you, it's nothing different. And the map XML, just to show you that it's nothing special. It's the same map XML we've had, nothing added or anything at all. So if we run this, hopefully we don't get any errors. If we get any errors, we'll fix them. Okay, so we did get errors, and just saying it doesn't know how it's going to compile these. So let's remove these, and let's rerun this. Okay, so things can't find it. Now, one thing I forgot to do, what you want to do is, I know you can't see this, but click project and go to the properties, and we got to remove our output path. So right now it's creating a brand new output path, so we want to remove that. And it says the length cannot be less than 0. So let's see exactly what we did here. So S was a null, and so what we can do is we'll say, let me get rid of this, and so we're gonna say if S not equals string empty and that. So let's run this. Oh, stop. Run this one more time. and we never set this to an instance of an object. So what we can do is we'll just make a layer constructor, and we'll set some defaults. So we'll say tile dimensions goes to new vector 2 tile map, and yeah. So let's try this. Hope this works. And doesn't accept anything null. So what is null? So our texture is null. So our path. So I believe I know exactly what's going on. So what we have to do is we have to go to our editor, and let's copy this stuff from right here, and let's paste it right here in the constructor, because what it's doing is it's initializing our other classes first, and we're running into trouble. So let's start debugging now, and we're getting that error. Okay, sorry for all these errors. So let's check something quickly. Okay, so it had nothing to do with us moving it to the constructor. I forgot that it was something else, that a reason why I had to move it earlier on. So yeah, you can keep it in here. The problem is we don't even call load content in for the images. So we need to open up our layer, and we'll just make a call to image.initialize. So we don't even make a call to that. That's why it's not even loading in the tile. And if we run this one more time, hopefully it works. So now we've gotten something blank. So we're getting closer and closer. So we have our layers here, and in our editor we actually draw our map. So let us see exactly what's going on. So I made yet another error. We never set tile dimensions to anything right here, so let's just do that quickly. So we'll say tile dimensions equal to tile dimensions. Sorry for all these errors. Let's run this and let's see if this works. So voila, we've gotten our map drawn. It was a lot of work. I didn't actually intend for it to have that many errors, or intend for it to be this long. But now we've revamped our image classes. We've revamped our map and our layer class, and we've gotten something displayed on our editor. So in the next tutorial, we will probably set up the tile sheet display class, and then we'll get into some further stuff in later tutorials. So sorry for this long tutorial, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and bye for now.